While the nation just had the 23rd remembrance of 9/11, one black man doesn't have to remember because he'll never forget.
I yell for help, and then no one is around at all. No one could hear me.
A story of heroism, a story of survival, a story that sounds like a movie, and it is. But this is the real life version that only a retired Marine could tell.
And so what I do is I just started to go into the hole. I back into the hole like as if, I'm getting off my roof. Like if you're on a roof and you're backing onto the ladder, I'm doing that. And I climb down into this hole. I'm climbing down to get into the hole and I lose my footing. Something breaks away from my feet and my hands, and boom, here it is. I'm falling into this hole. And I fall about every bit of like 12 feet down. And as I'm falling, I could see the mouth of that hole that I went into was getting smaller and smaller.
You've got to step back in time with me and Jason Thomas as our guide. We join him. He takes us there to the biggest terror attack on American soil, a trip you can only take in Blackland.
And now,
as a brown person, you just feel so invisible.
That's not fiction. Where we're from.
Brothers and sisters, I welcome you to this joyful day.
We celebrate freedom. Where we are.
Get on the ground!
I know someone heard something.
And where we're going.
We the people means all the people.
The Black Information Network presents Blackland with your host, Vanessa Tyler.
We have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
That's a clip from Oliver Stone's blockbuster titled World Trade Center, a movie centering around the rescue of two New York City Port Authority police officers trapped under the rubble. There is an odd twist to this movie Black people may feel a certain kind of way about, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's leave Hollywood and get to real life.
It is another year already, 9/11's sad anniversary. We will never forget September 11th, 2001, and neither will Jason Thomas. He was there 23 years ago, a hero then, hero now. Jason, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Vanessa.
Please tell us your story. The only African-American Marine who went into the collapsed towers to rescue people and save lives.
Yes, I would like to say thank you once again for having me on 9/11 23 years ago. It was such a beautiful day. As I started out, I had a newborn baby. She was probably a month and a half. I call her my 9/11 baby. My daughter's name is Imani. And so that morning, my wife went into work. She worked in Manhattan, and I was going to school in Manhattan. I attended John Jay College of Criminal Justice. And so that morning, I would go to my mother's house, which was maybe 5 minutes away from me. And when I got to my mother's house to drop my daughter off, because my mother was such a mother and she was a blessing because I had just got out the Marine Corps and, I was attending school, trying to get on my feet. My mother volunteered to watch my baby. And she told me that you are not going to put my baby into a daycare facility that young. And so that was such a blessing.
That's young. Yeah.
Yes.
Good point. Yeah.
And so when I got to my mother's house, my mother had never greeted me on the front steps. She was always in the house doing her thing. And so when I pulled up to the home, I would see her house. I would see, I saw her standing on the front porch, and I'm like, what's going on? And immediately I felt this this bad feeling. And I immediately thought that maybe something happened to my mom, something happened to my dad or one of my siblings, because I come from a huge family, 10 brothers, 6 sisters, and from the same mom and dad. I know, wow. So when I just jumped out my car, got my little baby out, and we hustled up to the front steps, and I'm like, Mom, what's going on? And she had this look on her face, and she says, a plane just flew into a building. And I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? She said a plane just flew into the World Trade Center.
Jason Thomas, just out of the Marines, was in college, enrolled at John Jay, a college specializing in criminal justice. But this day, September 11th, 2001, classes would have to wait. There was a mission. A Marine felt it in his bones.
I just got out the Marine Corps Infantry, just got out, and I felt so confident that I could assist in some sort of way. Mom told me, as I would always tell my siblings and I, that you are your brother's keeper. Never leave your brothers behind. And as I got older, I knew exactly what she was saying. And the military reinforced that. When I joined the Marine Corps motto was, you never leave your brother on the battlefield.
So he kissed his mama and his sweet baby girl goodbye on Long Island and headed straight for the city.
But I ran to the trunk of my car, and I had my military gear in my military bag, and I just ran to the trunk of my car, grabbed it out, and I threw it on, and I rushed into the city.
Going back to the movie, around the same time, two NYPD cops, Sergeant John McLaughlin, played by actor Nicolas Cage, and Officer Will Jimeno, played by Michael Pena, were getting their assignments. The North Tower was hit and crumbled to rubble. The South one was next.
Okay, listen up. You gotta evacuate the tower. Who's coming? Step forward.
I got it, Sarge.
I'll go. All right. Follow me. Stay together.
The two NYPD officers went in, but the tower collapsed, trapping them beneath mounds of rubble. Meanwhile, our hero, Jason Thomas, was still trying to make his way into the city, which by now was in complete chaos. Traffic was a mess, but there was a convoy of sirens heading toward the towers. Jason Thomas was in a black SUV. Blending in would be easy.
And I see this convoy of cars approaching me really fast. There was an NYPD marked car, like 3 or 4 black tinted windows, vehicles trailing. So I'm like, at the time I had a black car with tinted windows. And I was like, you know what? I am going to be a part of this convoy. And we are racing down the West Side Highway. I'm right on them. And about quarter of a mile away or less, they slammed on their brakes. The convoy just came to a screeching halt. And I immediately got from behind them and pulled over to the side of the road. And as I'm pulling over, I'm looking up, and I can see the North Tower collapse. And I was like heartbroken because I'm like, I hoped and prayed that God got everyone out. And, everyone was able to get out.
That was such a surreal. I was rushing to work. I'll never forget seeing the building just crumble right before my eyes down to nothing.
Wow.
I would just never forget that. But eventually, you got there. Then what?
I got there. I kneeled beside my car, and here goes the debris. And the debris was racing towards me. It sounded like a freight train. Everyone was running past me. And I'm standing beside my car, and I see this mass of energy rushing towards me, which was the debris, and it's just rushing towards me. Everyone's crying and screaming, and then at the last minute, I just decided, hey, listen, I'm not gonna have enough oxygen, and so I took my head. I blew a couple of breaths of air into my T-shirt, and then I buried my head in my shirt and kneeled beside my car. And the freight train hit my car. And I was so glad that I kneeled behind it, so the left side of my car would take the brunt of, the right side of my car would take the brunt of the debris.
As the debris rained down on him, his car, the sidewalk, every surface, with that white soot that covered any and everything, Jason Thomas knew he had to push on. The mission for this Marine moved toward the danger.
And I just sat there and waited and waited and waited and tried to stayed calm, but I was so pissed off at myself because I was kneeling and it felt like I was just I didn't want to die kneeling. And so I was so upset with myself that even put myself in that situation and that the debris was just not ending. That storm of debris was continuous. And I ended up I'm running out of oxygen and the debris is so hot and violating and it feels like pellets and sandpaper running across my body. And I just was so pissed off. I'm running out of oxygen. I just got to my feet and I just decided to run forward through the debris. And I wanted to get to the site because I said, I am not going to die kneeling like this. I end up just jumping to my feet and running through the debris, and I'm running into people. They're running in the opposite direction. Everyone's looking gray. I see blood on everyone's face. The majority of those that's running has an injury, and they're crying. You could tell they're sweating, and it's all this gray, light gray and dark gray due to their wounds, the blood that's running down. It didn't look like blood. It just looked like a dark gray, like water. But it was evident that it was blood, and I just, the police officers and firefighters were telling me to evacuate this way. And I'm like, I'm a Marine and we don't go backwards and we only go forward. And they would just tell me, just evacuate people to, this location. And I just continue to run forward. I end up running into another Marine. His name was Staff Sergeant Carnes. And we introduced ourselves. I told him I'm Sergeant Thomas. He said he's Staff Sergeant Carnes. And we both were talking about, hey, do you want to go in and start a search and rescue? And we both came to the conclusion that we needed more people because we didn't see any firefighters around. Well, we saw firefighters, but we didn't see anyone conducting this search and rescue. And so I was like, where's the search and rescue taking place? I want to be a part of that. So we decided to break up. He went and went to search for more people to start the rescue, and so did I. We decided that we were going to meet up later on and conduct that search and rescue. There were people that were injured that was laying in the middle of the street, and I would just run up to them and say, hey, man, sir, are you okay? And I wouldn't get a response at all. And so when I would look up or look at their body, assess their body, I would notice that they were struck by debris. This one gentleman that I came across, he was an older white male, Caucasian, and he looked like a grandfather. And he was laying on his face, like on his side and face. And I ran over to him, I'm like, sir, are you okay? And I didn't get a response. I rolled him a little bit to his back, and then I was trying to feel for a pulse on his carotid artery, and nothing. There was no pulse. End up looking up closer towards his face, and he had this huge dent in his head, and his whole head was caved in. So I would run in and run into the entry point of the building and try to evacuate people from there. And they would be so exhausted. You could tell that they just couldn't give anymore. And so
Were
I
you
would tell them,
carrying
hey,
people out?
I was carrying people out into the middle of the street and calling for help. And, we had so many people down in that area that would run up and give help and call for a squad, and the squad would come. People would call, everyone would yell for a squad, and the squad would come and they would take them away.
After hours of trying to help, the sky was dark, the towers both gone, and the two Marines find themselves standing on a mountain pile of debris.
Yes, so later on that evening, myself and Staff Sergeant Carnes linked back up. We were standing directly across from the pile, and we were all discussing a plan, trying to get a plan together on how we were going to start the search and rescue. But then as time went on, I could tell that there's so many that were really talking themselves out of doing it, opposed to hey, let's go do it. This is a thing, and we are going to do it. And so when I was just so fed up, and I just turned around and I'm like, hey, you guys, if you're going to start the search and rescue, I'm going to walk across the street. And for those that want to be a part of it, I'll see you on the other side. And so we went over to the pile and we started testing to see if the edge of the pile was safe to cross. And when we got to a certain section that we found to be safe, we got on our hands and knees and started crawling across.
The pile was not sturdy. There were pockets of deep holes.
I'm on my hands and knees, and I look to my left, and I see this hole, and there's black smoke pouring out. And I just yell into this hole, is there anyone down there? This is the United States Marines. This is the United States Marines. Is there anyone down there? And as I'm yelling into this hole, I get a voice. It's faint. I second guess myself with all the sirens and the city illuminated with all these sounds. I second guess myself.
Was he hearing things deep beneath the rubble? That voice, it was faint. The person down there for hours under a mountain of debris. Would he make it? What no one knew at the time, there was another life, 2 men trapped beneath the collapsed Twin Towers. What this Black Marine did next almost cost him his life. The dramatic conclusion in part 2 of 9/11 Hero on Blackland.